Hey everybody, so today we're going to talk about how to identify the stainless flatware pattern that you have. Now there could be a couple different reasons why you need to know the flatware pattern. You could just be an owner of a set of flatware and you'd like to buy some replacements. Maybe your flatware is vintage or handed down from your parents and you don't really know or remember the name of the pattern. And so in order to go on eBay or places like that to find replacement pieces, it's very helpful to know the name of the pattern. So there's that reason. And then you could be on the other side of the coin. So this is a reselling channel. So that's kind of our focus on knowing why it's important to know the name of the flatware so we can sell those pieces to that first person who's trying to find replacement pieces for their flatware. So we might pick up some pieces at a thrift store or a yard sale or something like that. In my last video, I talked about the different brands that would be good to pick up if you're interested in doing that. And so today we're going to move on to that next step about how to identify the pattern of your flatware. Now, back in the day when I first started selling flatware on eBay, the technology was not as advanced. So I did a lot of searching online. A lot of times I would just start with eBay and I would maybe put in the name on the back of my piece and maybe a quick description of what was on the handle, like floral or whatever. And I just scroll through eBay and see if anything really popped out at me. Anything, the search terms I would try to get as close as possible, the location, the things like that. And sometimes it worked and, I found a match pretty quickly. The next thing that I tried is there's this book that you can buy on Amazon. It's called the Stainless Flatware Guide. You can see that I used it quite a bit. The limitations on this book, however, is that it was published like in the 90s. And so it's really good for vintage flatware, but not so much anything newer than the 90s, obviously. But this book is put out by replacements.com, which is another option that you can use. And so back in the day, if I didn't see it quickly in the book, and if I didn't see it on eBay somewhere really quickly, then I would go to replacements.com, I'd find the maker, and even in the past few years, they've managed to narrow it down a little bit more as far as like you can narrow down your search results better into just only looking at stainless, looking at glossy versus frosted versus satin. And you could just narrow things down a little bit better, but still you might have like 20 web pages to go through and you're just looking at, pattern after pattern after pattern. And I got really good at it. Like I got really good at like, if I'm looking at like the shape, to just let my eyes like scan down and only worry about the shapes that kind of look similar to that. And it was kind of time consuming. But these days, technology has gotten a bit better. And so the Google Lens is an option. So you get the Google app on your phone or your tablet or whatever, and you can kind of take a picture of your pattern and search the internet with Google Lens. Now, what I find is something that I've been trying lately, and I wanted to share this with you now. And it might be where you want to start from now on. I'm kind of sometimes old-fashioned and I get stuck on doing it a certain way, on doing it with the book and with the computer and like my tried and true ways of identifying flatware. But the technology has advanced. So what it is that replacements.com on their website has like a Google Lens type feature where they'll do a photo identification for you. And so I decided to try it the other day because like I said, I've been stubborn in my old ways. And I haven't really, like I said last week, I haven't really done a whole lot of flatware, listed a whole lot in the past couple years. So I was kind of excited. It's actually a very good time saver. So let me show you right now. I've got this serving piece, a slotted or pierced serving spoon that I need to identify. And it says on the back, Oneida Ware Stainless. So Oneida, if you remember from the video, is a really good brand to pick up. So let's try to find out what the name of this pattern is. So I'm gonna switch over to showing you my phone. Okay, so as you can see, we are here on replacements.com. This is just on my browser. I just went and typed in replacements.com. And so if you look in the search bar there, we've got a little red camera. So we are going to click on that. It says, what kind of piece are you identifying? We've got china, crystal, silver, or collectibles. As you can see, this could come in handy for maybe some dinnerware or glassware in the future. I'm going to have to remember that. So let's click on the silver, flatware. It says you can take a silver photo or you can choose a silver photo. So taking a photo just means the camera will take it right now. Choosing a silver photo means that you've already taken the picture and it's on your camera roll, and you can just, if you pick that one, you can just pull the picture that you want from your phone or your tablet. So I am going to take a silver photo since I haven't taken the picture yet. And like it says, they want a picture of the entire piece and on a solid background. So don't take a picture of just the back stamp or anything like that, or, you know, cluttered on a table or anything like that. So let's go ahead and try take a silver photo. It goes to my camera and then I take a picture. It looks good to me, so I'm going to use that photo. And we're going to wait while we get our results. Here we go. So look at that disclaimer, image search results. We love this ID tool, but it's not perfect. Double check your items, including any back stamps or underside markings with our results. So you can scroll down. There's usually more than one option for you. So let's see what it's given us. It's given us Schubert by Oneida. So Oneida, we know the back of the spoon said Oneida Ware. So that's our first potential piece. The shape looks kind of similar. Then we have Anthem by Oneida. That's also similar. Then we're getting into other brands. It looks like Continental Gourmet, a sterling piece, which is not what we want, some silver plate. So I think as you go down, Autumn Ballad, but that's by Stanley Roberts. So you get some similar looking pieces, but you can quickly discount a lot of them. So let's go back up to Oneida. That first result was Schubert, and that does not look right because that looks like it has a pierced handle, so it would have holes in the handle. That's not what we've got. So I'm thinking our best bet here is Anthem. If we go to Anthem, we can kind of zoom a little bit, and that looks like our pattern for sure. So now we know the name is Anthem by Oneida, and it's a discontinued piece. And we have found success using the picture search on replacements.com. Okay, so that one worked. I left it over in my photo booth. But yeah, so that one worked. And Oneida is fairly, like I said, it's a vintage Oneida piece. It's going to have, I'm not surprised that it was able to find that piece so readily. Some newer types of flatware might be harder. There just might be less record of it on the internet. So I have come across some flatware, especially this week. So last week I told you I had my bin of flatware that I was going to be working on, and I didn't make as much progress in it. I got sick a little bit earlier in the week, and that was why I did not have a what sold this week. I'm so sorry. What I'm planning on doing is having a double what sold next week. I didn't want to put off this video. I thought about doing the what sold today, but then I thought, no, let's do another flatware video and then we'll just double up the what sold next week. Anyway, So, you know, I was working on some of that flatware and trying to identify it. And I realized that a lot of my backlog is stuff that I was stumped on and I ended up just putting to the side for another time. So I'm back to being stumped sometimes. And I came across one pattern that it was not on replacements, that tool that I just used. That didn't work. It was giving me a very similar pattern, but my pattern pieces were satin finish and the pattern online was glossy. And I'm like, I know it's not right. And the back stamp was written kind of in the wrong spot. And I was like, that I just know that's not the right one. And it was too new for my flatware book. And I went through all the pages of the brand on replacements.com, like physically, and I kept coming up with that one that was glossy. So I actually ended up finding the pattern on Google just by like describing it. And it turns out it was a flatware like set that you could buy at Crate and Barrel. And so I managed to get a name for it and I listed it, and actually I sold it. So you'll see it in the What Sold next Tuesday. But just, you know, interesting. Sometimes it's just hard. Sometimes it's hard to find those pattern names. But what I can do, so let me just tell you, if you are going to be reselling flatware and you're interested in this book, I'll put a link to it below. It'll probably be my Amazon affiliate link. The book has gotten kind of pricey. I would only get like $1 or something like that if you do buy it from me. And it doesn't add any price, you know, it doesn't up the price of that you would pay. But let me tell you why I love this book. Yeah, the new technology is great. And sometimes though, I think I kind of would like this better. It's like a little, some parts of it are faster. I don't know. That's just me. So what I like about this book is that it's divided by maker. Oneida, I don't know if I can read. So more Oneida, Oxford Hall, Reed and Barton. Now, remember last week when I talked about how each, you could have Reed and Barton, but then there'd be different names on the back of the flatware that meant Reed and Barton. So Reed and Barton could also be Rebacraft, or it could be some other ones. Oneida had a bunch of different, Northland is technically Oneida. So if you go to Reed and Barton page, let me find the first page of Reed and Barton. What it does right up here at the top of Reed and Barton, it's showing like the different back stamps. And then it has the patterns divided by back stamps. So the internet, you know, going to replacements.com doesn't have things separated that way. So if I have a piece that's Rebacraft, I only have to look through a couple different pages in here. And there really isn't newer Rebacraft. It's all vintage. And so it's most likely going to be in this pattern. And, you know, I can just like take my flatware and just kind of run it down and, you know, just kind of physically see it a little bit easier. Anyway, so that's why I do like this book when I am consistently selling, especially vintage flatware. But yeah, I do go and I can show you now on replacements.com. Let's just do a quick screen share of that, because like I said, if you've kind of hit a brick wall, like the little app is not working for you, or on your phone or Google Lens, you don't have the book, which is fine. Replacements, either doing what I said earlier, going to eBay and just kind of putting in some search terms might get you pay dirt. Or just going into replacements and kind of doing it the old-fashioned way might work, right? That might be your last resort for doing it. So the other option, I'm debating whether to say this. Okay, so when I did these articles on eBay, or sorry, when I did articles about selling flatware on my blog in the past, I just said, go ahead and message me and I will help you identify your flatware. And so I helped quite a few people identify their flatware. There was times where, you know, they had done the research. I couldn't find anything new. Sometimes there just is not a pattern name. It's just too vintage. It's too obscure. So you could always message me if you want to, and I can at least maybe point you in the right direction or let you know whether it's a possible thing to find or not. So I will add a email address to the description below that you can contact me about that. Okay. Alrighty. So, or just leave a comment. Well, the comment won't help because I need a picture of everything. Then I would need a picture of the pattern, handle, and the back stamp for sure. But anyway, hopefully using these tools, you would be able to do this yourself. And I think it's good to get that practice, especially if you want to sell more and more flatware. So let's just look at replacements.com real quick, and I'll just show you kind of how it's set up. Here we are on replacements.com again. And what I've done is, we're not on the home page. I had just gone ahead and gone up here to where it says silver and flatware. And I'm on the popular silver brands. And actually this is really good because I'm going to show you another little trick about replacements that can help in your selling of flatware online and making money at it. So first of all, we're starting with popular silver brands, the letter A. So you can go through, you know, any of these. Let's go ahead and pick Gorham. We talked about last week. We've got G. And then here's some of the ones we mentioned. We have Gents. Here's the Gorham that we talked about. And so this is what's interesting about Gorham, or about replacements and their flatware listings. Recently, they switched to default to most popular. So that's actually really good information, because you can, you know, if you're identifying a pattern, something that's kind of fairly common and easy to find is going to be, sorry, I just caught a text that I had to look at. Okay, so, you know, you can look at right now. So right now, under Gorham, it's got all the different finishes. It's got, or product types. It's got sterling, it's got stainless, it's got silver plate, kind of all mixed together. So for Gorham, for people buying on replacements.com, Chantilly in sterling is their most popular pattern. All right, so let's switch it to stainless. We did that over on the side. Oops. And it jumped to silver plate. Okay, stainless. Okay, so you can see the most popular stainless pattern in Gorham is Melon Bud, then Studio, Golden Ribbon, and it goes down. Okay. So you can also change that if you want to just do A to Z, you know, because maybe yours is a little more obscure. You're not sure. It could be totally at the end of the list, but sometimes that's what it takes. So sometimes you just have to go ahead and scroll down until you find the pattern that you're looking for. You could also add, over here we've got burnished, which is kind of like a more of a rough finish to the flatware, maybe kind of cross-hatched a little bit. We've got frosted, which definitely, I think you would recognize it if you saw it. Frosted is, you know, it's not glossy. It's kind of, I don't know how else to describe it. It's frosted. And then there's glossy, which I think probably the majority of flatware is considered glossy. And then you have satin. So that satin is kind of like a matte finish. It's not glossy at all. But frosted is a little bit different. It has a little bit of a different look to it. I don't think these pictures are even really going to show what the frosted looks like. Anyway. So that is an example of what you'll be seeing when you go and try to identify your pattern. So another little tip is you can, like, if you think it's this one, but you're not absolutely sure, right? So you open it up and the listing in here has measurements. So say you have a fork in your hand and you're like, oh, I think it's this pattern. I'm not sure. And so you open up the fork and you can kind of zoom in a little bit. If you hover your clicker thing over that, it'll blow up a little bit for you. So you can compare. If you're still really not sure, check the length of the fork that you have with the length of this one. So it'll, sometimes it varies a little bit depending on pattern, from pattern to pattern. And that can help narrow it down. Also, it lets you know a lot of times where that pattern was made. And so if yours is not saying Vietnam, Japan, Korea, then maybe you don't have the right pattern and you have to keep looking. So lots of good information here. As far as using this information to help you with pricing, you can, except their prices are a lot higher than what you would get on eBay. If something is super rare and sought after, like a mid-century Scandinavian pattern, you could probably get pretty close. But for the most part, I price maybe about half, that's where I start, is about half the price that replacements.com is asking. And anyway, that's just kind of my rough estimate for that. Okay, so that's replacements.com. And anyway, if you have any questions about this, please feel free to leave a comment below and let me know if you have any other tips or tricks for identifying flatware, if you've dealt in it before. And anyway, okay, so let's go back to just a few finishing up comments. Okay, so that'll do it for today. I hope that was clear enough. I am kind of foggy still from this week. Like I mentioned, I was not feeling good earlier in the week. That threw off my what sold video, and then once I was feeling better, we went straight into a homeschool activity that took up all of yesterday, and I'm still trying to get my bearings. I have so much to catch up on in every area of life. And so I'm just trying to catch up with doing that. So hopefully those were just a few little tips that help you identify your flatware pattern. That's what I use. Like I said, if you have any questions, leave them down below. I am still working. I can't really give an update. I probably did about half of that bin of flatware that I talked about last week. And I've even found some pieces that are just not even worth listing now that I figured out what pattern they are and that there's just no demand for this pattern, for these pieces, or I'm finding damage or things like that. So it's really good because I'm still making progress in my flatware profit pile. But I have gotten some things listed. I have sold some of those items that I have listed. And so I do want to continue working on that today and in the next couple days. So we will continue next week with some more selling flatware, flipping flatware information. But again, we'll have that what sold on Tuesday, and it'll be a double what sold. So if you're interested in seeing what flatware sold, or if you want more flatware information, we'll talk about that next week. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And thanks so much for watching, everybody. And we will talk to you soon. Thanks so much.